The pictures in question feature the 95-year-old monarch in the gardens of Windsor Castle. Her Majesty was receiving a rose named in the memory of her late husband Prince Philip on the day he would have turned 100 years old. The deep pink rose was given to her by Keith Weed, president of the Royal Horticultural Society, an organization of which she is patron. Royalties from the sale of the flowers will raise money for the Duke of Edinburgh's award Living Legacy Fund, which will give more young people the opportunity to take part in the Duke of Edinburgh Award. The Queen wore a blue floral dress and a cream cardigan, along with sunglasses during the hot blue sky day. One royal commentator noted that seeing the Queen in these thinner, summer clothes made her look rather frail. Pod Save the Queen is hosted by Anne Gripper and features Daily Mirror royal editor Russell Myers. Ms. Gripper said, "It was interesting seeing her actually because the last out-and-about pictures I'd seen her in, I was commenting about how she looked like she was dressed for Christmas in that thick red coat and all wintry. I think she looked much more frail in these pictures actually. Partly because it's summer clothing and it's all about lighter and a bit thinner and smaller, but she looked more fragile I felt. Let's face it, she is 95, she does very well, but we do have that interest of, how is she getting on, is she all right?" However, she added that the Queen looked very happy to be out with the roses. Mr. Myers said the Queen thought it was lovely, and a kind and lovely gesture, to be given the rose in honor of the Duke. He admitted he could see what Ms. Gripper meant about how the Queen looked in her dress and cardigan, but again emphasized that she is halfway through her 90s. Ms. Gripper replied, "To be fair, if I make it to 95 at all, I'll be very happy, and if I'm doing as well as the Queen, just from a basic health and living and looking point of view, I'm not expecting to have the palaces and the titles." She met world leaders at the G7 in Cornwall last week, followed by a scaled-down Trooping the Colour at Windsor Castle on Saturday and then hosting US President Joe Biden on Sunday. Mr. Biden said Her Majesty was very generous, and that she reminded him of his own mother. In a video posted by ITV reporter Lizzie Robinson, he described the Queen as extremely gracious, which is not surprising, adding, "She reminded me of my mother, in terms of the look of her and just the generosity." The Queen, who lost her husband of 73 years just 2 months ago, has jumped back into her duties with admirable gumption. Her daughter-in-law Sophie, Countess of Wessex, said they have not been able to spend as much time with her as they would have liked, due to the coronavirus pandemic. Describing the grieving process for the family, she said, "I think unfortunately the pandemic has slightly skewed things in as much as it's hard to spend as much time with the Queen as we would like to. We were trying to, but of course it's still not that easy. And of course the normal way of doing things isn't normal yet, so we're not necessarily doing the things that we would normally have done with him. So I think the whole grieving process is probably likely for us to take a lot longer. It may be the same for many other families out there." To subscribe to Pod Save the Queen, go to your normal podcast provider.